Okay, hello. It's the Professor of Thrones here, back for another trailer breakdown. So, interestingly enough, I believe the last trailer was also titled the teaser trailer, so I'm not really sure how I'm going to end up titling this video if they're both being called teaser trailer. Not really sure how that came about. But I'm here because we have another House of the Dragon Season 3 trailer. And I believe we have a specific concrete release day at the end, from what I've heard. Now, I know this is a day late. I was pretty sick yesterday and out of commission, so I couldn't really record anything, but I'm feeling a bit better today, and I'm ready to watch this trailer. I've not seen any spoilers from the trailer, not listened to anything about the trailer, watched the trailer, seen the trailer in any way through images, anything like that. So this is going to be my first initial reactions. And then as we did last time, once I watch it all the way through with minimal commentary, we are going to go back and sort of dissect shot for shot. Again, unlike my standard videos, which are written and scripted and recorded and edited, this is sort of going to be freeform, off the cuff, conversation, discussion, and I open any conversation discussion you have. There's in the comments below, there's obviously going to be plenty of things I miss or don't see or don't think about or make the connections of. So, that being said, without further ado, let's dive in to the House of the Dragon Season 3 teaser trailer. Here we go.
You now have the power no man has ever willed. You will have an empire and a sail.
Is it the veil?
Our children will rule it forever and a day. What remains?
That's gotta be the Battle of the Gullet.
What you want from this war.
Allison, it seems like she's trying to escape. Are they talking in that scene? It could be clever editing.
We act with holy purpose to restore a rightful king. I'm going to kill my brother.
Okay, interesting. I know we saw this in the last trailer, but Aegon being present for this part of the story is interesting because he's not in the book. We don't see what he's doing at this point in the story in the book.
We'll all become a beast of the throne. It is no longer safe here.
Damon in that outfit, God.
You will be no doubt who comes of chosen to rule.
Okay. June 21st. Got about a month and a half. That's exciting. That's exciting. Okay. There's a lot to dissect here, a lot to break down. There's obviously going to be stuff I miss or don't notice. That being said, feel free to leave anything I don't notice in the comments below. I respond to every comment. Happy to discuss. So, let's go back and see what we can discern just from the trailer alone. I believe I mentioned this before, but this video is including no spoilers for book content. So essentially, I know what's going to happen in the future of the story from the book. I will not be discussing any of that. This video is completely from a person that's only watched the show lens. So
You now have the power
it's Rhaenyra. Is that Rhaenyra?
no man has
Yeah, Dragonstone. I do wish the shows made Dragonstone a little bit more ornate. I feel like a lot of the fan art and the design like references in the books make it like this insane fantastical monstrosity of a castle, and this just kind of looks like a standard normal castle. But it's an HBO show. They have a certain budget that they have to make work. So okay, we could see Rhaenyra just look drained here, like just completely and utterly drained. Okay, I believe that's going to be probably the veil. believe so. So we know what happened at the end of the last season with the dragon encounter there. So this is probably an immediate follow up of that, if I had to guess.
An empire unassailable mirror. Our children will rule it forever and a day.
Jeez, jump scare. Okay, this seems to be the prep of the Battle of the Gullet. I won't say this is the essentially going to be the battle that of the Green faction armada trying to break the Black faction blockade of King's Landing. We saw that Tywin Lannister treated with Sharko Lohar from the Triarchy to try to build a maritime force capable of doing so, and we saw the success of that treating at the season finale of last season. So this seems like it's going to be the direct continuation of that plot thread right here with this battle.
All that remains is for you to decide what you want from this war.
Okay, so unless
It's for you to decide what you want from this war.
okay, unless this is clever trailer splicing, which it could very well be. Like this could be Aegon and Larys, hypothetically. But it seems like it's going to be Alicent and Helena trying to escape, which is interesting because the last trailer shots from the last teaser led me to believe that perhaps they don't even have the time to try to escape. So it seems like there's going to be some sort of situation where they leave, something prevents them from leaving, and they have to retreat back to the castle in some fashion. I really don't know. Maybe they're caught. Maybe she has second thoughts. We don't know what's going to happen. She's clearly like in heavy contemplation here, so maybe she does have second thoughts about, she doesn't know Aegon is gone yet, but it seemed like in the last teaser that she returns to find Aemon back. Surprisingly. I don't know. You know, this is trailer editing. We don't really have a way of knowing. We'll have to watch the episode and find out that way, I guess. Seems like Rhaenyra stepping in blood. So that's, you know, the trailer editing is making it like Rhaenyra and Alicent are having a conversation, but that really could be her talking to Aemond. You know, it could be, there's multiple possibilities there. Based on the lighting, it's not even quite clear this is even the same room. You know, it's a lot darker in this shot than the previous. So who knows? It could be the same shot. There's a skull in the fireplace. I wonder if that's an allusion to the whole Laenor plot from season 1 that her and Daemon contrived together. So this is our new Hightower character. Okay, so when I first watched the trailer, it's another instance of clever trailer editing because you could tell from the lighting and the environment, this is not the same. It seems like this Hightower character is going to go up against Daemon, but you could tell it's not the same landscape or location. The lighting's different, the amount of people is different, you know. So interesting. So this is definitely the, you can see right there, that's the I don't know if this is like 2-4. My guess is this is the Starks meeting up with the Riverlands forces led by Daemon to sort of team up. Just based on the show alone, it's hard for me to really tell. But, you know, we know that the Starks have pledged to Rhaenyra, so it would make a lot of sense that they would just, you know, meet halfway and combine their forces here in the Riverlands. Daemon, you know, that could be like a sly smirk of like, oh, I get to fight more, or it could be, oh, we got more men, great, like happy smirk, you know.
We act with holy purpose.
So yeah, it seems like this new Hightower character is very religious. I don't think it's Darren. Well, if you recall, Darren is the other child of Viserys and Alicent that just was retconned, was not was not in the first season mentioned once, and yet he was mentioned again as if he was there the whole time in season 2. So they're bringing him into the actual season visually in season 3. I don't believe this is him. I feel like he would be in more Targaryen regalia and iconography. But who knows? Maybe he was very, and he would also, I would imagine he would be very much more of that platinum blonde look. But maybe, who knows? Maybe he was born with a little of Alicent's genes, and mayhaps he was more inundated with Faith of the Seven High Tower propaganda living in Old Town. But who knows? I believe this is probably a separate High Tower character. So yeah, it seems like we're getting Aegon this season. There's going to be an Aegon plot thread, which is interesting because, as I said, my initial reaction, this Aegon is not present for this part of the book. There's a period, a stretch of the story where he disappears after he flees with Larys, and then he is not seen again until later events, which I will not spoil. And those events will not be coming this season just based on the length of the story. So it's interesting that they're probably going to do another fill like Damon, they did with Damon and Harrenhal. Like they're going to do another fill in the blanks, like what was really going on here during this stretch type situation, which I'm totally open to as long as it's good. Like fill in as much as you'd like. I talked about that, I think, in my last video, that I see House of the Dragon as less of a direct adaptation and more of a sort of, I want to say fan fiction, but I don't know if that's necessarily the right word. Someone else aside from the author's interpretation of what was going on in between, filling in the blanks of a book where there's not a lot of straight answers. The way Fire and Blood is written, it often pits multiple options of what happened together because we're dealing with unreliable narrators. So there's many situations where they'll be like, well, one of three things could have happened here. We don't know what happened here, but you can fill in the blank yourself to determine that. Like Rhaenyra did X thing. No, it was someone else, or no, it was never happened at all, and you fill in the blank of what happened there. And I think it's such a clever and interesting idea for a book, but obviously that does not translate into a TV show. So the showrunners have to sort of pick and choose what narrative pieces they want to portray as canon in their show. And they also have to fill in the blanks for stretches where characters are not present on the page, which it happens quite a lot. I feel like just based on the different style of writing that the main Song of Ice and Fire series has over Fire and Blood, that there's just, unlike Song of Ice and Fire where you kind of get filled in with each new POV character, there's no POV characters in Fire and Blood. So it's simply you're only getting filled in with what the in-universe writers know. So it's a very different style of story, and it's interesting. I do think that there's some flubs here and there, but I think a lot of what they did do, the showrunners move forward with, is very fascinating. So I don't mind it at all. I'm excited to see what they do. So the way I interpret this scene in the teaser is that Alicent gets back from treating with Rhaenyra and thinks that Aemond has gone up on his one of his campaigns, but alas, he's waiting for her and knows pretty much where she went. But who knows? We don't know. This could be something entirely different scene. What did he say there?
I'm going to kill my brother. I'll die in the attempt.
Okay, so it seems like he has a plan. He wants to kill Aemond, definitively. He doesn't want to necessarily flee.
Draw your sword. Draw your sword.
I'll die in the attempt.
There's so much I want to say here.
Draw your sword.
I'm going to guess this is a dream sequence, a vision of some kind. I don't know for sure, but that's my guess. I won't say any more. There's also so much I want to say with this shot. It also could be trailer editing. I don't know where those two scenes are connected, but I can't really say anything here without spoiling it. All you can see is indoors, green flags on fire.
The sky. Doom around surround us.
He's still on his full, like, existential crisis mode arc.
We will all become beasts before our end.
Let me see if I can tell which castle this is. Because that's Vagar. I think you can tell what castle this is if you're keen, but I don't want to spoil it. But that's Vagar and Aemond. Okay.
We will all become beasts before our end.
Yeah, it's the Starks. Okay, the Stark army. Goes back to my theory of what's happening in the shot previously. Is that Alicent's brother? Gwaine? It's hard to tell from this shot. I believe it's him, but it's definitely very heavily dealing with PTSD from this war. More Starks. Rhaenyra seems to be confidently walking into a castle. Based on the conversations with Alicent last season, we can kind of put together where that might be and why she might be confidently walking in. My guess is if what I was saying before, where maybe where Alicent and Helena tried to flee and were brought back or caught, this may very well be Aemond bringing them back. But it looks like there's a lot more people rounded up here as well that aren't necessarily soldiers. So who knows? There's so much I want to say that I just don't want to spoil. Yeah, I'm still leaning that this being a vision sequence. But that design looks so sick. It looks so cool. Okay, we can't quite see who's fighting here. I think it wants you to think it's Daemon, but who knows? It could very well be trailer editing. But this is in the King's Landing Red Keep courtyard. Yeah, pretty definitively. Rhaenyra is sobbing over what looks to be like... Can't really tell for sure. It looks to be like a burnt head of some kind. We don't know who it belongs to or if it's definitively that. More battle stuff. That looks like Helena screaming. And that's that Hightower character that seemed so calm and collected before. Screaming. Okay. A lot here. A lot to think about and digest. Like I said, there's a lot more I could have said knowing what happens later in the book, but based on the shots here, I'm still very curious as to what they're doing and what they're choosing with certain remixes to the plot, and certain interpretations of what happened off screen or what the definitive answer to some of the questions that the book poses is. So, like I said, like, even though I've read the book, it's still like a fresh new take on the story for me where I really don't know what's going to happen. And there's plenty of twists and turns that I haven't seen coming because they aren't in the book. or they're not necessarily, or the twist comes in, what did the showrunners choose to depict as happening here definitively versus what was up to interpretation in the book. So yeah, overall, I'm incredibly excited. I know a lot of people have said House of the Dragon fell off, they didn't like it. I still loved season 2. Sure, it had some issues here and there, but overall, I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and I'm so excited for season 3. I've been debating doing a Fire and Blood reread before House of the Dragon season 3, but I think not. I think with a month and a half, it's just too meaty of a book for me to do a reread in time, so that probably won't be happening. But alas, I am very excited, and I can't wait to dive into each and every episode with you. So thank you all for watching, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see my coverage of every single episode, every trailer that comes out from here, unless it's like a very minor trailer. And yeah, I cover everything that comes out A Song of Ice and Fire related, period. So if you're interested in that, be sure to stay tuned. Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.